People need the symbol. They need a cap.
That little girl kicked your ass.
See? That wasn't so hard. Just blink, sweet Jesus. I mean, how old are you?
Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be my video for the other new Falcon and Winter Soldier trailer. That's right, Marvel actually released two different Falcon and Winter Soldier trailers with some different footage, so I'll explain what's going on with that and some of the other new confirmed characters, like the new Patriot character, another new Young Avengers character they're introducing during the series. Don Cheadle also confirmed that he would guest star on Falcon and Winter Soldier, so War Machine will show up and they'll help set up some of the other Disney Plus series that are coming in the future, like the Armor Wars series. So we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, I'll be doing videos for all the episodes. They're going to be starting next month in March, so be sure to subscribe to get all those. We're also doing a giveaway for Disney Plus memberships. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave all your predictions for the series on the video. But just starting with the alternate footage, in the new version of the trailer, it starts with a different scene of Falcon inside the Captain America section of the Smithsonian, looking at the new display with the classic World War II Captain America costume and his shield. Remember, we visited this museum several times in the MCU. There was some alternate footage with him also in the museum, just looking at all the Captain America fanfare. Obviously, this is all just to connect to that scene at the end of Avengers Endgame when he gave him the shield. Old man Captain America basically told him, "You become the next Captain America." But if the shield is now in the display in the Smithsonian now, it means at some point after this moment in Avengers Endgame, Thunderbolt Ross or maybe the government takes the shield back, or Falcon gives it back to them. Like, you have that dialogue of Winter Soldier saying, people need the symbol, they need a version of Captain America to help give them something to rally around, to believe in. The way they're presenting this footage, they're implying that Falcon may have initially been reluctant to take up the title right away. Classic trope, reluctant hero, and that sets off the battle for the shield between all these competing versions of Captain America from the comics, like the Batman battle for the cowl aspect of the story. There's like 4 or 5 different running storylines during the series. It's the same thing as WandaVision, like even though it's mostly a House of M story during WandaVision, all about her giving birth to these children, them not being real, and then completely losing her mind. There's a lot of other stories going on and stuff that they're setting up during those episodes. But later in the Falcon and Winter Soldier trailer, there are a ton of separate scenes where he does have the shield, like where you see Winter Soldier teaching him how to use it, how to throw it so that it returns like a frisbee. Hat tip to Ultron for one of my favorite Avengers jokes. He was clowning on humanity because vibranium has so many properties, you can use it for almost anything, it's so advanced, but the humans, as he says, used it to create a frisbee. This scene of them on the boat where Winter Soldier is telling him the importance of having a Captain America, this briefcase that Falcon is opening is probably the shield itself, because the scenes of them training with it seem like they're happening at the same location. This scene is also a nice callback to the Captain America Winter Soldier movie where you have Bucky catching the shield with his metal arm just like he did during the movie. And it's also a reference to him at one point in the comics being a version of Captain America. I know people were disappointed we didn't see more footage of US Agent Captain America during the trailer. This scene of them that they keep showing in all the separate footage at the football game, this ceremony, is probably just the military trotting him out like, everybody celebrate, we've just minted a new Captain America. So if he's got the shield for a good portion of the series, it sounds like Thunderbolt Ross at some point of the government just take the shield back. I know people are wondering if there are multiple different shields during the trailer just because it shows up all over the place, but I believe it's meant to be the same shield. It's not like the government just suddenly found a whole bunch of vibranium or stole a whole bunch more from Wakanda. That'd be like a whole other subplot, stealing vibranium from Wakanda. That sounds familiar. Can't imagine that they'd be too happy about that. But this is what US Agent looks like without his costume on. Like, this kind of looks like it's a scene of a before and after, like before he gets the Super Soldier Serum and then after Thunderbolt Ross gives him a couple doses. I talked about it in my last trailer video, but a big subplot of the series is someone, probably Thunderbolt Ross, resurrecting the Super Soldier Serum program. The way they explain it on the series, though, is that he's basically Thunderbolt Ross's and the military's next experiment after the Abomination went sideways. And the way that the MCU has put it so far is that Thunderbolt Ross was the one who was personally responsible for resurrecting the Super Soldier program a long time ago and then evolving it into the MCU version of the Weapons Plus program. The difference between the Weapons Plus program is that each new iteration of the program, they have a new test subject and they try different experiments to turn them into different types of super soldiers. With each new iteration, they try different treatments, different versions of super soldier treatments. Eventually, they also start experimenting on mutants. That's where you get to things like Weapon X, Weapon 10, the Wolverine version of the program. Deadpool is also technically Weapon 11, although that doesn't confirm that Thunderbolt Ross will be the one to create MCU Wolverine. I'll explain that in a second too. For the most part though, in the MCU, it's been Thunderbolt Ross behind all of the versions of the Weapons Plus program. Kevin Feige said that they haven't come close to casting the new version of Wolverine yet, so in present day right now, after Avengers Endgame, at least during the course of Falcon and Winter Soldier, I don't know which iteration of the Weapons Plus that they'll be on, like which number US Agent is going to be. But just for reference, Captain America is listed as designation Weapon 1 because he was supposed to be the first, even though the Isaiah Bradley version of Captain America is a bit of an Easter egg that they'll talk about during the series. Then Nuke from the Marvel Netflix shows, if you remember him, Jessica Jones, he was technically Weapon 7, even though they kind of did something different with him during the Marvel Netflix series. Then the way they explain it is that in the comics, after they get to Wolverine in the Weapon X program, after he escapes, the team behind Weapon 10, Stryker, they became a rival team for the mainstream Weapons Plus program, so Deadpool came from the rival faction, even though he's Weapon 11. They were like the Canadian version of the program, because Deadpool is Canadian, just like Ryan Reynolds. Kevin Feige is usually pretty good at juggling all these really complicated Easter eggs and making it feel really simple and easy to follow, so I'll just talk about that when we start getting those Easter eggs during the Falcon and Winter Soldier episodes. But if you haven't watched it in a while, it would be helpful to go back and rewatch the Incredible Hulk movie, because that's where you get all your Weapons Plus Easter eggs in the Emil Blonsky version of the Abomination, who is coming back during the She-Hulk series. Maybe we'll see some Easter eggs for him during Falcon and Winter Soldier as well, because of all the Thunderbolt stuff that they're setting up. There were also a lot of you in my last Falcon and Winter Soldier video that were asking about the Skrulls Easter eggs that you thought you saw during the trailer footage. This is the scene that everyone was talking about, where it seems like Baron Zemo in the background here off of frame is doing something to make Winter Soldier fight all of his henchmen and these villains, and what I'm assuming is Madripoor. Madripoor is a big location in the series, and it's just a big port of call for Marvel villains. It's just a really shady place from the X-Men comics. But while this big down and dirty fight is happening, you notice in the background here, you see all these skulls adorning the wall in formation like they're trophies of some kind. They do look like they could be skulls of Skrulls because of their shape. Like, they're obviously not human skulls. But I've never seen the skeleton of an MCU Skrull, so it's a little hard to tell without more context about what's happening here. But it would make sense that the Skrulls have been on Earth for a while now, and people would be hunting them for all kinds of reasons, both villains going after them and then regular superheroes. So there might be some Skrulls Easter eggs during the series just in service of helping lay track work to set up the Secret Invasion Nick Fury series that's releasing next year sometime. I'm also expecting Monica Rambeau to come back at least for a little bit during that to cameo, just because she's so connected to S.W.O.R.D., Nick Fury, the space station, and it's going to be a big Nick Fury series. There are a lot of you that are also asking what's going on with War Machine Rhodey during the course of the series, because Don Cheadle confirmed that War Machine would show up during Falcon and Winter Soldier episodes. So I'm assuming that that means that they'll also help use him to set up the Armor Wars series that will also be releasing sometime next year. The really cool connection between War Machine and Monica Rambeau, though, is that they're obviously both from the Air Force, but if you look at some of the Easter eggs, there are some that point to them being pretty close to the same age pre-snap. There's some information that quotes him as being born in the late 60s, so he's about the same age as Iron Man, which would put him in his mid-50s after Avengers Endgame, but there's also some Easter eggs from Captain America Civil War that claim he was in his mid-30s during that movie too. So it is possible that Monica Rambeau knows or has worked with War Machine in the past. They both came up through the Air Force, so they'd have that connection as well. But based on all the WandaVision episodes so far, they've explained that before the events of the Snap and Avengers Infinity War, Monica Rambeau had already been part of S.W.O.R.D. for a good long while. Like, she was basically raised there when she wasn't at school or going through the Air Force Academy. And as you've seen, there's a lot of classified files, information that they deal with, so they have a lot of the information about the Avengers and their adventures, the big battles they've had through the first Avengers movie, all the way through Avengers Age of Ultron, because they know all about the Vision, then Avengers Infinity War, and now Avengers Endgame. So she has pretty much all the information she would need to know exactly what's going on with War Machine, the other Avengers characters. But I don't know if Monica Rambeau and Rhodey are going to share any scenes anytime soon before she comes back, potentially during the Secret Invasion Nick Fury series in the Captain Marvel 2 movie. It's possible that also in service of setting up the Armor Wars series, they bring back the Justin Hammer character, or they reference him at some point during Falcon and Winter Soldier. The whole thing with Young Avengers and the Patriot character, if you're not familiar with him, his name is Elijah Bradley. He's going to debut during the series. I don't know exactly how they're going to use him during that, but he's the grandson of Isaiah Bradley that I talked about in my last video, the OG African-American version of Captain America. So you can see some of the connections behind the scenes, but I think it's going to be a long time before we see any potential Young Avengers series, because you have characters like Miss Marvel that aren't going to debut till later this year, then you have Haley Steinfeld's Kate Bishop character that's going to debut during the Hawkeye series, and we're not going to see the new version of Cassie Lang, the Stature version, played by Kathryn Newton. They've recast the character. She won't show up till Ant-Man 3, and that movie isn't going to happen till 2022. And lately on WandaVision, we've just seen Billy and Tommy, Wiccan and Speed, other OG Young Avengers characters show up, so obviously in service of setting that team up eventually. Kevin Feige's using the Marvel Disney Plus series to set up all these characters and bring them together the same way he did during the Marvel Phase 1 movies. Like, they all debut in their different series, then eventually somebody puts a new team together. But I don't know if it would be Nick Fury to put that team together because he's put all the other Avengers teams together, or if it'd be somebody like Monica Rambeau. So it's probably going to be 2023 before we see any real, actual Young Avengers team come together. But I'll just continue to point out Easter eggs for that as we go along. The fun thing about the Marvel Disney Plus series so far, like the WandaVision episodes, is there have been Easter eggs for way more future stuff than we ever expected. Like, we've already started seeing some Fantastic Four Easter eggs, but I guess we shouldn't be surprised by that. But what'll happen is because we're so close to Falcon and Winter Soldier episodes starting, we're going to see more trailers in the next couple of weeks towards the WandaVision finale. But WandaVision will basically run till the beginning of March. My full WandaVision Episode 6 video will post on Friday just like normal. I have another Quicksilver bonus video that I'm working on right now. That should post tomorrow. If you spotted any other big Easter eggs during the trailer footage that I didn't talk about during the video, just write them below in the comments. But everyone click here for that other really big Falcon and Winter Soldier trailer with the different footage, and click here for that brand new WandaVision Episode 6 trailer. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.